Hey everyone, this is an introduction for my video series on muscular hypertrophy. We'll be doing a series of 10 different videos for my internship at the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse, and the main topic is going to be muscular hypertrophy. So we'll look at different things for training techniques, methods of recovery, nutrition, and that kind of thing. And there'll be a total of 10 videos, about 10 minutes in length for each one, looking at different studies as well to support the things that I'm doing in the gym. And each video will be a little bit different. Here we go.
Hey everybody, this final video is going to discuss an idea of momentary muscular failure, looking at an article including a few colleagues here, Jurek, I believe is how it's pronounced, and from one of our earlier videos, Brad Schoenfeld, another great author. The article is titled Inducing Hypertrophic Effects of Type 1 Skeletal Muscle Fibers, a hypothetical role of time under load in resistance training aimed at muscular hypertrophy. So in this video I'm going to first talk about some of the things from this article. For instance, what is momentary muscular failure? Why is it important for muscle growth? What does the article say? Etc. So let's get started. In the abstract here, it talks about what needs to happen for muscle growth, differences in fatigability of type 1 fibers compared to type 2 fibers. And this article does discuss the idea of reaching momentary muscular failure. So what is that? It's performing resistance training to the point where the athlete can no longer execute force in a positive direction. For example, if someone is using a time under load technique, meaning timed reps, for instance, a 3-second negative portion and a 3-second positive portion of the bench press, if they are able to do the 3-second negative, so on a bench press it would be the portion where they are lowering the bar towards their chest. If they're able to perform that, but then as they do the turnaround of the movement and they start pushing that bar away from their chest and they cannot push the bar away, that is reaching momentary muscular failure. And so this article discusses that in a little bit of depth, but we will go over some of the key points. This article moves on to discuss why momentary muscular failure and time under load is important for muscle growth. So they say in the introduction, they talk about a few different things, but towards the end here, they do highlight in this section, right in here, I'm not going to read it for you, but it talks about how lower loads may be able to be used to induce hypertrophy when time under load is greater and momentary muscular failure is achieved. So maybe you're able to perform a bench press with, say, 185 pounds for 5 reps, normal speed, but maybe using 120 pounds, timing your reps, maybe a 3-second negative and a 3-second positive, will allow you to perform a lower load movement but with the same or greater hypertrophic benefits as the heavier movement. This would be safer for training alone. It would be safer or easier on the joints and it would lead to less wear and tear on tendons and ligaments over years and years of training. In this article now they move on to talk about physiological differences between type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. I'm not going to go too deep into that. A little bit lower here they start talking about time under load, and I talked about this in a couple previous videos. So what does the article say? I'll kind of give you a quick summary. It reads that recent evidence suggests when reaching momentary muscular failure, and I'll quote here, skeletal muscle hypertrophy can be achieved across a broad range of loading zones. And they do give an example. So they say, for example, a low load set of 20 rep max performed with a 3-second repetition duration would result in a time under load of 60 seconds. A higher load set of 8 rep max performed with the same repetition duration would last just 24 seconds. What does that mean? It means that using lighter weights but for more repetitions and for a longer period of time will produce the same results of and reaching momentary muscular failure as a heavier set, higher load set of 8 rep max performed with the same repetition but only lasting 24 seconds. I'm going to go down a little bit lower here to the article conclusions. And so it reads, in conclusion, a greater time under load might play a role in inducing greater hypertrophic effects in type 1 muscle fibers. Despite emerging research supporting this hypothesis, evidence to date remains equivocal, and thus future studies should seek to provide clarity on the topic. If time under load is indeed an important factor in inducing greater hypertrophic effects in type 1 muscle fibers, individuals interested in maximizing muscular growth across the muscle fibers should consider including both high load and low load resistance training schemes in their training routines. What they don't mention in the conclusion, and they talk about it in this article, is the idea of momentary muscular failure, and that's what I'm going to talk about for the rest of the video. I'm going to provide an example from Quick Hit in Onalaska, Wisconsin. One of the trainers there is going to show us a movement, and I'll voice over and talk about it while he's performing it. But basically, we want to use time under load techniques to produce momentary muscular failure, and this will create a safe way to achieve the same hypertrophic benefits of conventional weightlifting or conventional resistance training, and it's much safer as well. So let's move on to an example. I'll voice over and talk a little bit for you, and we'll wrap the video. Alright guys, so what we're looking at here is a trainer, Jared, from Quick Hit Fitness in Alaska. I filmed this on my phone, but he is performing a cable machine pull down, and his aim here is to reach momentary muscular failure while using time under load techniques. So there's no weight loading on this machine, but it is controlled by the force that he's putting out. If you can see on that screen up there, he has that arrow and he's putting out force output. You can see he's going up. There's much more force being put out than when his arms will come back down on the pull down section. The force output drops a bit into that orange and towards the blue. So that just means he's reaching momentary muscular failure using time under load techniques like we discussed in the article that we looked at already.